Welcome to the Buyer Show. Again, we're going to be going live every single day. Well, actually, I should say that we're going to be going live 4 times a week. And the 4 shows that we're pretty hard and fast on is the Buyer Show, BPIU, which is about agents, sellers, and for sale by owners. We have the market report that's coming out in 2 weeks. I'm going to be going to Anaheim next week, so you're not going to have any live. You get to enjoy your week without any live notifications coming from Charles. Today we're going to be talking about something that essentially is on, I guess, a lot of people's minds. You know, they're buying co-ops. They're understanding that co-ops are a little bit different if you're a first-time home buyer or you're coming into the city and you're not really familiar. You're like, oh no, there's co-ops in my city. Not like the co-ops here, okay? There's co-ops that, I'm dealing with a co-op right now that they feel like they're a Fifth Avenue co-op and we're selling a $30 million place. You know, there's a lot of entitled co-ops, understandably so. You want the best candidate and the best shareholder to enter your building, but you also have to be realistic that not everyone is gonna have absolutely everything moving into, you know, there's gonna be something, you know, maybe they have a lot of money, but they don't make enough, or maybe they have, you know, maybe they're getting money gifted, or whatever the case is. So we're gonna talk about the 3 ways of actually buying an apartment, not by yourself, in other words, through or with someone else. I can't go into so much detail about it because it would be an hour long. It would be more of like a presentation because you'd have to dissect each single one. Okay, co-purchasing, totally different than gifting, totally different than parents buying for kids or kids buying for parents. Either way, someone buying for someone else. All right, so the first one is gifting. Okay, why gift? All right, gifting is really good if the candidate is very qualified, they make enough money, they're almost there, or they need just a little bit more money on the post-closing liquidity. All right, so you have 3 terms, I'll only bring up 2. So post-closing liquidity is after you close, how much money do you have left over in the bank? Most co-ops, they want at least 2 years of debt. Okay, in other words, how much money leaves your bank account every single month? They want 2 years of that. It could be towards student loans, it could be towards a boat, another house, it could be credit card debt, it could be anything, any kind of. So you have 2 types of credit. You have installment and you have revolving. Okay, installment means you have you're kind of cutting away on a big amount. It could be $80,000 in student loans and you just make monthly payments. Revolving is different. Revolving means that you're paying off every single month your credit card bill. You get a $5,000 credit card bill, in which, you know, hopefully it's lower than that, but whatever. And you pay it off every single month. That's revolving, okay? So they want to know, not on revolving, but on installment, when you have your maintenance and you move in and you have your mortgage, if you have a mortgage, what is leaving? They want to have at least 2 years. And if you don't have 2 years or you need money for the down payment, you have to understand that gifting is probably the best way because you're not getting anyone else involved in the board process. Personally, I love gifting. Other people don't because there's tax ramifications. Obviously, talk to your tax and accountant about that. I can't give you advice on that. And I also can't give you legal advice on what you should do, okay? Talk to counsel on that. However, gifting is the best way because most people that gift, they don't want to go through the entire rigmarole of being a guarantor or a co-purchaser or just being on the stock and lease. They don't want to be there. They just want to give the money, be like, I'm buying this and free and clear. Okay, so gifting, there is tax ramifications. Obviously, talk to them, talk to your professionals about that. I highly recommend gifting as the first thing. You have to 100%, first of all, the bank needs to know. And the co-op needs to know, and they will find out because it's going to be in your bank statements. You're going to have $250,000 in your bank account, and then out of nowhere, you have $500,000. And they're like, okay, where did this come from? It was a gift. Okay, the building doesn't allow gifting. The bank does. The bank needs a notarized letter. Banks are way more easy to get qualified than co-ops. Okay, so gifting. Moving on to parents buying for kids. This is vitally important for a multitude of reasons because I do know of an instance where someone was actually buying for their kid. That they masked it as they're buying for the kid, and because that was allowed by the building, but pied-à-terres were not allowed by the building. So a pied-à-terre is a second home. So in other words, they bought for the kid, but they were actually living there temporarily. And the building said, whoa, your kid hasn't moved in, and you're visiting once every 2 weeks. You bought this as a second home. You lied to us. So guess what they did? They took away their stock and they took away their lease to live there, and they had to sell the stock. So they couldn't actually live there. They revoked their lease to stay there, and they had to sell their shares on the open marketplace, and they just bought. So they took a huge loss because they had to bring on a realtor, they had closing costs on the front end and on the back end, and the co-op found out. Listen, I had a doorman. Okay, I had a client visit me one time and pretty much was the same thing. I said, is this for the kid? Is this for you? What do you want to do? And we've been seeing, almost 3 or 4 days of homes, and the story was kind of a little wishy-washy. And I said, what's going on here? So finally Saturday, I said, you have to tell me, is this for your kid or is this for an investment purpose? You have to be honest with me. So they came to me on Saturday after all of our showings and they said, we're buying this for a kid last year in college, and then we're gonna use it as a second home. I said, that's totally different. I told them of that instance and where the co-op revoked the lease and they had to sell the shares. And I said, we can't look at a co-op. We have to look at a condo. It's going to be more expensive. It's not going to be as nice. However, you can do whatever you want with it. You can have your kids stay there. You can stay there temporarily. You can renovate a lot easier. You can sell it on the open market a lot easier because there's not as many condos as opposed to co-ops. It's actually growing, the percentage. It's really probably right around 31, 32% are condos. It used to be about 25%. But there's been so much new inventory that the tide is shifting, but it's also very luxury. So you have to be very honest for 2 reasons. Number one is you don't want a board rejection, and you also don't want the board to find out later on this person's using that as a second home. Okay, so when you're buying it for a kid, you both have to go through the process. Okay, both of you have to go through the co-op process. It's not like I'm gonna just be on it. They want to find out. It's kind of like a guarantor. You both go into it. Probably both names are going to be on it. Maybe there's a co-op that says no, maybe just your kid can be on it, and they just move in, but they want both of you liable. They want both of you to be abiding by the house rules, so that's why they want both of you on it. The last one is co-purchasing. It could be guarantor, something like that. So co-purchasing, there is a slight difference between it. However, co-purchasing is kind of like, they have the money, they have the debt to income ratio. So debt to income ratio is the amount of money coming into your bank account as opposed to leaving, okay? The bank requires you to have a debt to income ratio per month, and this is gross income of 43%. A co-op is 25%, if not lower. Some of them will allow you to get away with 29%, okay? That's quite easy. You just add up how much money you are pulling in and how much is exiting every single month, okay? So it's kind of a swap, all right? And it has to be around 25%, okay? If it's any higher, they're not gonna allow you in there because they already know that it's gross, number one, gross revenue or gross income. And they also know that you're gonna have other expenses. You're gonna have other living expenses, gym membership going away, vacations, 401k, IRA, travel, food, everything like that. So they know all of that. I had a client that was buying in the Union Square area, and that's what we needed. I said, listen, you have money in the bank, and you also have the debt to income ratio, but it's so close, but this is a challenging co-op. I went to the listing agent, I said, I know there's co-purchasing allowed. This is the statement. Do you think we're gonna get in? And they said no. I said, okay, we got to bring on the father. So the father came in. The father was not happy because he had to bring all of he owned his own business, and he's doing very well. So you had accounts all over the place. We had to compile probably one of the biggest board packages I ever compiled for a $1.4 million purchase. Okay, but that's the thing, is that you either purchase the home because you're qualified and you bring on a co-purchaser, or you don't. Okay, that's the difference. Is you don't want the board rejection. Okay, you want to buy the home. That's my job. My job is to tell you that brutal, honest, radical honesty of saying, we can't afford this home because of the co-op, but I make enough money. I easily can afford this. I have enough money in the bank. Understandably so. Do we want to buy the home? Yes, we got to bring on your father. And it's going to suck. And for 2 months, you're going to have to give me tons of documents and go through the entire rigmarole. You both have to go there to the board meeting and meet the board, and they have to understand who you are as a shareholder. And then we're done. And then you can go and leave and do whatever you want, but just become part of the club. Just become a shareholder, and then we're good to go. So those are a really basic overview of the 3 ways to purchase if you can't actually purchase on your own. First one is gifting. That is you gift, and you're done, and you don't have to go and submit your own. It's a lot of it from older people, whether that's your parents or grandparents, or it's a will, or I inherited money or whatever, and it just comes into your, well, that's a little bit different, inheriting and everything else. But a true gift is, that's essentially what the letter is that I have no need to actually get this money back. I'm gifting it to my daughter, my son, my friend, my colleague, my uncle, whatever, and you signed a notarized gift letter. And that's the easiest way. That's clean and clear. There is tax ramifications. Talk to your accountant on that. Second one is parents buying for kids. In other words, they buy and the kid lives there. It could be a student, it could be someone else, and they just don't have the acumen to actually get through. They don't have the financial means to actually get through it, so they need the parent to pretty much do everything. They're the main person. And then you have co-purchasing, which is a little bit different, parents buying for kids and co-purchasing. So co-purchasing, you're literally going in together. You're going in, it's like you're 50-50 on it. On the parents buying for kids or kids buying for parents, there's obviously one person that's going to get scrutinized who's not living there. Okay, with a co-purchase, that person may not live there either. Okay, that's more of a guarantor situation if you're familiar with rentals. All right, so those are 3 ways if you can't qualify on your own. Each co-op is completely different on what they require after you close, how much money they require after you close, how much you are debt to income ratio, and obviously what is allowed. Some buildings allow no gifting, but they allow co-purchases. Some buildings allow all 3 or none of them. Okay, it really depends on how challenging the co-op is. And to be honest, I would also look at it as if they are really, 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 really challenging, that's also going to come up probably when you sell. Okay, because if they're really, really hard, you have to find a really qualified person to move into the building. Okay, because that's not really opening it up to the entire marketplace. You are opening it to the entire marketplace. There's only a certain fraction of people that have the means to actually get into there. There are some Fifth Avenue co-ops where we understand you all have money that are going to be qualified, but who do you know? We need something from the mayor, we need something from a senator, we need something from the governor. In other words, letters of recommendation. It's all about who you know, all right? There's a lot of those co-ops out there. So if you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below. I'm gonna be going to Anaheim to reboot, get educated, network. I'm gonna go see someone called Tom Ferry. He's an incredible national real estate coach. He's incredible on just technology, the future, what's coming in, making it a little bit easier, which actually makes the system and the experience for you guys a little bit better. We're gonna be building out a studio, so this is the last time you're gonna actually see this as the background. There's gonna be lights and everything else, so it's gonna be a little bit better. Always getting 1% better. If you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below. Subscribe to the video. If you guys want to contact me, charles@bpi.live, as my light goes off in my office. Charles@bpi.live. So not only do you have any questions or any referrals or anything like that, we're also here to help you not only just basic questions of, should I co-purchase? Should I guarantor? Should I do a gifting? Should I do something where, co-ops are just sometimes a mess. It takes a while. It's a lot harder than you think. Condos are better, but they're more expensive. And to be honest, you're probably not going to get as good of a deal. Okay, because there's more co-ops, there's a lot of people that aren't qualified, everything else. So any questions, leave in the comments below. Have an awesome weekend. I'll talk to you guys when I get back. And of course, as always, any questions, charles@bpi.live. Talk to you guys soon.